What is up, everyone? So welcome to the first Fantasy Friday. I know last week was the first Fantasy Friday, but this is the first Fantasy Friday where we actually dive into fantasy football and the players, draft strategy, team management, all those types of things. This week, what I'm going to be going over is my love and hate for the quarterback, wide receiver, running back, and tight end position pre-draft. So what I'm going to be talking about is not the upper portion, like the first 3 round picks, like your Le'Veon Bell, your David Johnsons, your Todd Gurley's, your Antonio Browns, things like that. What I'm going to be talking about is more along the lines in the meat of the draft, more like your 4 through 10 round picks. And so let's just dive right into quarterbacks. Now I know quarterbacks can be taken pretty early, and I think a lot of people jump on quarterback way too early. A lot of people do it in the first round, second round, third round. I think it's way too early to do it then. I think you need to dial it back, and not until maybe the 5th round is when you could go get one. But in the 5th round, I'd be getting like Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. But by then, they're already taken. So really, you should be looking at a quarterback in the 7th or 8th round. So some of the ones that I think that would still be there, maybe Drew Brees might still be there, but I highly doubt it. But if you could get him in the 7th round, such a value pick. The other 2 people I would recommend getting probably in the 7th or 8th round, even maybe the 9th or 10th round, depending on how long you watch and wait. Maybe everyone's already drafted quarterbacks and you can just wait until about the 10th round. Maybe pick up Jimmy Garoppolo from the Niners. Now, a lot of people are like, kind of skeptical on him. I think he's going to have a good year. I think he fits really well in the Kyle Shanahan offense that he's set up, So, and then the other one is Alex Smith with the Redskins. I think them going from Kirk Cousins to Alex Smith is actually an upgrade. But a lot of people will look at Alex Smith's track record and see, he's had good years. And then last year was like a phenomenal year for fantasy for him. It was really weird. I mean, he like really broke out. But I think his ADP for what quarterback he's going at is way too low for what he can do with the Redskins. Some of the ones I would avoid in the draft entirely, Dak Prescott. I'm avoiding probably 99% of the Cowboys this year. The Cowboys and Cincinnati are like my Cleveland Browns for fantasy this year. I am just avoiding them like the plague, not taking any players from there. I know some of you might give me flack for not even targeting Joe Mixon. Trust me, I ain't touching none of them. You can have them. Big Ben's another one. I think he's getting to that point where he's getting ready to retire. He's kind of got that Peyton Manning setup going. He's just dwindling. He's going down. He's getting injured a lot. He's just losing that ability to play. And then last is Andy Dalton, Cincinnati, staying away from them. The Red Rifle has now become the Red BB Gun. He is not that good anymore. Who knows? He could surprise us this year and have a breakout year. So moving from quarterbacks, let's move to running backs. Some of the running backs I think that some people may not be really looking at is Christian McCaffrey. He had a subpar year last year, but now that Jonathan Stewart's gone, I think McCaffrey's going to get a lot more carries, getting a lot more targets. So he may be a 4th round pick, might slide to the 5th round depending on your league. Chris Carson with Seattle. I know he got hurt last year, but he reminded me of like a mini Lynch. That dude, he had some good downhill. He ran the ball well. He had good vision. He cut real well. So I think Chris Carson from Seattle, if you can pick him like 7th or 8th round, you'll be doing good there. Royce Freeman, he's the rookie in Bronco territory there. He replaces C.J. Anderson because he's not there no more, and I think Devontae Booker is behind him on the depth chart, and he's just been showing flashes of good moves and vision. I know he's a rookie, but I think this rookie class mirrors last year's rookie class. I think there's a lot of good rookie running backs in this in this draft this year as opposed to the last 2 years. We've just been having some phenomenal running backs come in. And so, besides Shaquan Barkley and a couple other ones, I think Royce Freeman, and then the next guy on the Redskins, I can't remember his name, it's Weiss or something like that. He's not even showing up on some of the depth charts. I think they're kind of putting him behind Perrine and Thompson. And so I would definitely look him up. You may be able to get him in the 12th round because a lot of people aren't paying attention to him. So that's somebody I would keep an eye on. Watch him in the draft, see what's going on. If you've got a round where you pick up your last RB and he's there and you got nobody else, I would take him, stash him. He may be very explosive later on. Some of the people I would avoid, I don't want to touch. LaShawn McCoy is number 1 on that list. Ever since he left the Eagles, he just hasn't been the same. Yeah, he had one good year in Buffalo, but I don't think he's going to do that great. Lynch, same thing. He was good in Seattle. He left Seattle. He retired. He came back after a year, played with Oakland, was very, subpar with Oakland. I just don't see him doing well again in the NFL. Maybe if he gets on a better team, but I just don't see him doing well in Oakland. And last is Chris Thompson with the Redskins. Yes, he was having a pretty good year until he got injured. He's a dual threat. He catches the ball, he runs the ball, but I think Gruden, seeing how fragile Thompson is, will only use him on passing situations to where he can do big plays like Alvin Kamara, but he is nothing close to Alvin Kamara. And so I would just avoid him. He might be a good handcuff, or he might be better in like the deeper PPR leagues, but I would avoid him if you're definitely in your 7th pick or something like that. So moving on to wide receivers, I know a lot of people are going to look at this and go, what? Corey Davis of the Titans. I think he's doing really good. So I think he's somebody that you want to pick up. And so with that one, I want to move to Amari Cooper. I think a lot of you are probably eyeing Amari Cooper. I think he's going to have a better year this year, much better than last year. Last year was a complete bust. I think a lot of that had to do with, he had a good year the year before. Derek Carr stayed healthy during that time. And so there wasn't really a lot of issues. Now that he's got Jordy Nelson over there, he can actually take some of the pressure off. They'll have to guard both Jordy and Amari, so that's why I think Amari is going to have a good year. And last but not least, Josh Gordon. Now, some of you may go, really? You drafted a Cleveland Browns player? I don't know about you, but I don't know if you were watching last year, but Josh Gordon got peppered with targets with the 4 or 5 games that he played. And yeah, he looked a little out of shape, but imagine going through an entire offseason, coming back ready to play football, that you've been given this second chance. Well, it's probably like his 4th chance. But the point is this dude is fast. This dude is amazingly talented. He is a good fantasy option. Now, the Cleveland Browns going to the Super Bowl? Probably not. But they did get new people in their front office. They did get people on their squad. Baker Mayfield looks promising as a quarterback. Tyrod Taylor's there to mentor him. I know it's not the greatest mentor, but he has some experience with the NFL. But the point is I think the Browns are making moves to try to be competitive. And I wouldn't be surprised in a couple of years they might make playoffs. But the point is Josh Gordon is definitely worth a draft pick, especially, as high as 5th pick. I would take him in the 5th, maybe even the 4th round, depending on how the draft is going. Did everyone draft heavy on wide receiver? Probably taking running backs. If they drafted heavy on running backs, still going to be taking running backs and then pick up these wide receivers probably in the later rounds. But I would definitely take an eye on Josh Gordon. Now, some of the people that I'm not too interested in definitely won't be drafting AJ Green. Again, staying away from Cincinnati players, not even touching those guys. Jordy Nelson, I know I talked about Amari, but Jordy, I love Jordy. Jordy's been on the Packers since the beginning. I was super devastated when they let him go. I was like, why? Jordy has won us so many games. He's done so much for our team. But over in Oakland, he has Derek Carr. I understand that, but I don't think he's going to have as good a year as a lot of people are expecting. Because now he's going to be taking pressure off of Amari Cooper, and I think Amari is going to shine better this year. Plus, Amari's 6 years younger than Jordy, I believe, so he's still got a lot more youth than Jordy. Don't get me wrong, Jordy still has that deep threat. He can still, turn the burners on and probably get a couple touchdowns off of it. But I'm leaning more towards Amari in this category. And Doug Baldwin, another one that's getting a little bit older, because football's a young man's game. He's getting a little bit older. There's talks about his injury, not playing in the first week, a couple other things happening. So he has been somewhat okay in fantasy in the last couple of years, but I just don't see him as a viable option in the later rounds. So moving on to tight end position, some of the guys that I'm high on, another Cleveland Brown, Njoku. That dude is super talented. I don't know if you've seen the rapport him and Baker Mayfield have been making, but he is definitely a tight end that you can watch, and probably he'll end up in the top 5 for fantasy points. I'm just going to say that now. I may be wrong, but hey, the guy is fire. He's good. He can catch the ball. He can play. Yeah, he makes little mistakes. He's still young. But I think he's going to turn out to be a top 5 fantasy tight end. Another couple ones that I'm looking at is Kittle from the Niners. I think he's got a good rapport with Jimmy G. He's also, he was lighting it up pretty good towards the end of the year last year. And then Hunter Henry with the Chargers there, now that Antonio Gates has fully retired, not coming back, he's done. I think Hunter Henry is a good viable option for a late round tight end if you don't want to spend an early draft pick for your Greg Olsen, your Travis Kelce, your Zach Ertz, your Gronkowski, things like that if you want to get some value. I'm pretty sure you can get any of these guys in the 7th, 8th, 9th round where you should be drafting a tight end. There's no reason to be spending an early draft pick for one of the top ones. To be real, I think that like Gronk, Olsen, and Kelce should not be going until the 5th round, but there's always those people, I'll take Rob Gronkowski in the 1st round, 3rd pick, and it's like, why? Because you're a Patriots fan? Okay, get it. Move on. But some of the guys that I'm not liking this year as far as drafting for tight end position, I know I'm a big, huge Packers fan, but I will not get Jimmy Graham. I drafted Jimmy Graham a couple years ago when he was on the Saints. He burned me hard. It was just, I was irritated with it. Then he went to, I think it was Seattle, did terrible there. I never drafted him after that. Like I literally had him on my bad list of just never drafting him again. I would pick him up off the waivers just to stash him, just to have him, but I would never draft him. Cameron Brate's another one in Tampa. I don't think he's going to have a good year. I think he's going to regress a little bit. I think Winston's having some trouble. Hopefully he's refined it over the offseason, but he's got a lot of weapons there with Deshaun Jackson and Mike Evans, so I don't really see, and then O.J. Howard in the mix at tight end. So yeah, I don't really see him being fed targets enough. And then Tyler Eifert, again, Cincinnati, staying away from him. I did pick Tyler Eifert up in the 12th round of the monster year that he had. It was a very good value pick. He did very well for me until he got those stingers in his back towards the end of the season. And then I was flat on my back looking for a tight end when I was going into the playoffs. So I guess there's a little bit of sting there from him, but I'm avoiding him. So big draft strategy plans for you guys this year is to draft running backs heavily and early in the draft. I'm talking like first 4 rounds. You could easily say 3 running backs, 1 receiver, because the receiver position is deep. I mean, super deep. And, it's one of those things where, it's up to you what you want to do. If you're listening to me for advice, hey, you can use it or not. But that's what I got for you guys today for Fantasy Friday. I hope everyone has great draft days. If you guys want, down below in the description, I've got my 2 drafts on NFL. One's a standard, one's a PPR. Everyone is free to join. The passwords are there to get in. If we don't fill up, I'm going to open it up to the public, as far as the people on NFL.com that just join randomly, and so that we could fill it up and hopefully have people playing. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It's a little bit more lighter side of things, but you know, hey, you can't take life too seriously. Nobody gets out alive. So go out there, enjoy a little bit of free time, enjoy getting ready for the fantasy season that's coming up, and football in whole. And I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a wonderful day, and God bless.